Hi everyone, welcome to this webinar where we will be talking about the Odoo partnership, scaling for profit and growth particularly in Malaysia. So let me do some introduction for myself first. I'm the presenter for today. My name is Yagi Makoto. I'm a senior partnerships consultant here in Odoo, Hong Kong. But if you do look at my name, you might be wondering, why is a Japanese talking in a webinar for Malaysia? But I'm actually half Malaysian and half Japanese. So I've been, actually grew up in Malaysia and also be familiar with the Malaysia market as well. So without further ado, I do want to talk a little bit more about today's agenda. What is it going to be about? So there are 6 parts to this. First, I'll be introducing Odoo. First, what is Odoo? For those of you who are here for the first time and you have no idea what Odoo is, this is for you, right? I'll be talking a little bit more about partnership, same time from the partnership team. How does a journey look like for a good partnership, right? And I'll be supplementing that with a real life partner success story. So this is some real life cases that I've actually worked with these partners and to help them to bring their project to fruition and to help them to actually close their first project, right? Of course, along the way, it's not going to be smooth sailing, like very easy. Things are just falling to pieces. No, there were definitely challenges, which is in part 4. And what are some of the solutions that Odoo can offer to you as well? So last but not least, we are in a realm of business world. Obviously, we want to talk about the ROI because there's going to be involvement in terms of the investment and what is going to be your return as a partner, right? So that's the last part. And the last part to end all of this is obviously Q&A, because this is meant to be a little bit more interactive. So if you do have a lot of questions, it's great. That means you are curious to learn more about it, and feel free to ask those questions during the Q&A session as well, right? So for those of you, again, if you don't know what Odoo is, this is for you. Odoo, if I were to summarize in one sentence, I'll call it all-in-one management software that's beautiful and easy to use, right? If you were to break it down, like why all-in-one, why management? Because in Odoo, what we really believe is everything is coming together in one platform. To do what? To manage your business, to help amplify, simplify your business operations, and to manage them all in one platform, right? And with the new Odoo 17 UI UX interface design updates, is designed to be very beautiful and easy to use. In fact, a lot of my potential partners, when they're talking about it, like, you know what, your solution, the UI UX after Odoo 17, they look really great. And this is where we really want to highlight, how the differences in terms of UI UX can help you and your client to use a software better, right? And obviously, it's not just about the software looking good, but the point is to help your company to grow, because they no longer have to spend so much time just thinking about, how do I jump from one to the other, but everything when they're managed in one system and one software, this is actually going to help them to increase their operations, to save time costs, and to actually save on even human resource as well. We really want to unleash the company's potential to their full, to their full side, by empowering users with tools that they love. And this is actually our famous quote from our CEO, which is Fabian as well. So if you were wondering, if Odoo is it from Malaysia, is it from Hong Kong? No, it's actually from Belgium, but we do have global presence all around the world. And as of now, to this day, 2024, we have 19 offices worldwide. And in terms of the partners that we have, about 5,000 official partners that are scattered all around the world. They're all also doing Odoo. And in terms of the number of users, you'd be astonished. We have 12 million users as of right now. This is actually a really astonishing number because when I first joined Odoo, the number has not just doubled, not just tripled, but 4 times 5x as well. So I want to bring it back, not just so in the global sense, but let's bring it down to Malaysia. In terms of Malaysia, what are some of the brands that you might be able to recognize them, right? If you're in Malaysia, you definitely know Johor Club, PhD, like Shell, MasterCard, all these companies are actually very happily using Odoo, as their management software system. And this is actually the result that we have brought to the Malaysian market, and we believe from this point it's just going to exponentially increase, because with more users, with more people getting to know what Odoo can do, this is going to help even in a market to really bring the awareness of what Odoo is actually capable of. Right, I do want to highlight a little bit of key highlights here. The reason why we're able to do this is because, obviously the software itself, but there are also some partnerships, there are also different things that we're able to achieve as Odoo over the years. Like for example, on the top left corner here, we have been known as the Enterprise of the Year in 2021. Right, this is where our CEO Fabian here received an award, and we also were able to partner up with Ricoh. So if you don't know what Ricoh is, it's basically one of the largest hardware provider in Japan, but we actually also have partnerships with them in Hong Kong as well. And the third part here, KPMG. If you have been in the realm of business world, you definitely know what KPMG is, one of the big fours. And we're also able to partner with them, with their knowledge transfer, knowing more about the accounting. We're able to bring a greater impact in terms of the accounting side, the accounting arm in Odoo. And we have also hit unicorn status. That's actually not a really news things, because it's already been a couple years already, and only then we've been exponentially increasing from there. Known as the best open source CRM, and also partner award ceremony with 5,000 partners. There's a lot of things that these partners are actually achieved over the couple of years. Right, again, APAC. This is where we are currently in right now. I want to highlight a couple of key figures here. First, Odoo employee growth. We've only seen increased amount of people. I remember when I first came in, it's just 2 digits, but now we're achieving 3 digits. In the global sense, we're hitting 4,000, 5,000 employees, and it's only going to be increasing as the awareness increase as well. Right? So I talked about 5,000 partners worldwide, but here in APAC, we actually have 800 partners, and I want to contrast this with the amount of partner projects that we've signed in the year 2023. So if you do the math very quickly, 1,500 is close to about 1,600 for 800 partners. That means one partner is closing at least 2 projects a year, right? And obviously there are some partners who are doing a little bit more. There are some partners who are doing a little bit less, right? But that's the average amount that we're able to see there, right? And year on year, we're seeing the growth in terms of subscription, lowering the churn rate, and this is because how the partners are able to collaborate with us, which I'm going to talk a little bit more in the next session here as well. So the part that we all are very excited, the journey, right? How has it been, or how would it look like, for you if you were to join as an Odoo partner? What is going to be the journey for you, right? So I want to introduce this page called the Journey to Success, right? How does a new ambitious partner, you have dreams, you have, really want to bring impact to your client, to become a really trustworthy partner, because we're still servicing the client, we're still providing the solution to an end customer, but how do you become or get there, right? So if I were to introduce some traits here, let me use the laser pointer, some new traits for the new ambitious partner. First, I know there are a couple of traits. First, lack of resources. Oftentimes they really don't have the right people, or they don't know what is the right people to hire. Second is they have very limited or basically to no knowledge in terms of Odoo, right? They might have other knowledges, but in terms of Odoo, they're still very new. And third part is there's no strategy, right? They might have been adopting to old strategies that are, it might be applicable to the older times of the market, but as you know, the market is constantly evolving, constantly adapting. That's why we want to come up with a way to really tackle the market here. So on the contrast here, turning into a trustworthy partner full of resources that is supplemented by Odoo, expertise and high skills in terms of how, Odoo knowledge and also implementation skills as well. And last but not least is the effective strategy and tactics, right? You need to come up with a tactic to be able to not just do the implementation one time well, but you also be able to service in a more longer term as well. So who are our hero profiles. What are some of the people? If you're looking at this clip, if you're looking at this video right now, and if you are one of these things, first, IT companies that want to serve with Odoo Wave, right? That's a little pun there. The second part is experience ambitious partners. You might have experience in the ERP section, in the ERP world. We welcome you with that, and also new ambitious partner who you might not have the right amount of knowledge, but you have the heart, right? That's all you need, because in terms of skills, in terms of the resources, here at Odoo, we can actually provide and equip you with that. So with that, I want to really highlight one thing about the Odoo partnership actually distinguishes a good partner and just an okay partner. What is actually the key factor here is this thing called the PLO, right? If you allow me, let me just show you the ideal journey of how Odoo partnership will look like. First, after you become an Odoo partner, yay, all excited, you really want to make an impact. The next thing is have an onboarding call with your account manager, right? That's part of the procedure. But key point here is actually step number 3, start the PLO, because this is not mandatory. This is an optional step that you can take, but this is actually going to make a very, very key difference here. And obviously the rest is like sales and marketing is training, start your first project, define your growth strategy. All of this, if you were to partner up with any other softwares, that's going to be pretty much the same process. But PLO here, which I really want to give a highlight, is because I've seen myself personally how this has impacted and also positively impacted and enhanced the partner's growth in terms of their Odoo implementation. So PLO, you might be wondering, okay, what is the name? The full name for it is Project Leader Onboarding. So what it is. First, let me just give some definition of, or even just an insight of how it actually would look like, or what is it going to look like. First, it's a 7-week course that requires, yes, a high time investment in the beginning. It will be reduced, the required time by attendees throughout the course, right? So it'll be a lot of time investment in the beginning because you need to take in a lot of knowledge. You need to apply that into real life cases. You need to also use that in, let's say, if you have a project in parallel, you also be applying that on the spot as well. Right. Second part is you're actually learning a lot of functional and project management skills in terms or in particular to Odoo. Right, you're learning a wide range of basic and advanced skills. For example, scoping. For example, how do you do X, Y, and Z in Odoo configurations? There are a lot of things that you might not know. This is where the gap, and this is where our consultant comes in and teaches you how to do it. Right, they're both very useful for commercial and service profiles. Third part is it does take 35 hours of a consultancy pack, which is also, part of the Odoo strategy in terms of enabling our partners to become a good partner in Malaysia as well, right? So if I were to summarize it all in all, train your team efficiently, and the best place to start is actually really in PLO, right? If you have more questions about it, we can discuss a little bit more about that, but this is essentially the essence of it. So one more fun fact about this, you're actually following the same onboarding strategy as we provide internally. So for example, if we have, person X who is joining Odoo and they want to be a functional consultant, we are going to have our senior to teach them exactly how we're going to be teaching you, right? So if we are able to do that internally, if we do it well, we've seen good results in partners as well, then what is stopping you from here, right? And what we want to guarantee you in terms of Odoo partnership, there are a lot of things, a lot of benefits, but I do want to break it down into different parts so you can kind of get a whole picture of how things would look like in a sense, right? So best practices, right? Oftentimes, I would say this is a lot of the downfall, a lot of new partners that they don't know what is the Odoo key practice or the best practice to proceed with the implementation, right? And this comes along with the methodology. How do you implement? How do you do scoping? How do you do analysis? This is going to be very key when you started your first partnership journey, right? The industry flows, this is more pertaining to, let's say, if you are in, let's say, manufacturing, then there are some specific steps that you need to actually do in terms of understanding scoping in the manufacturing sector. This is just one example. Core modules expertise. This is, if you look at Odoo, Yes, we have like 66 apps, a lot of modules, but there are some core modules that every companies would be using, right? Accounting, every company needs accounting. Sales invoicing, if you are in a business and you don't have sales invoicing, it's hard to really make a profit or even keep the company running, right? So these are some of the core modules that we have in Odoo that we really are emphasizing in this as well. Efficiency and quality, definitely we're going to be guaranteed with that. Maximizing the revenue, which I'm going to be talking for the ROI later. That's going to help you to understand a little bit more, right? Retention and satisfaction. Ultimately, you're not just here to provide like a one-time service and you're done with it. You want to have a long-term, relationship with your client. It's sort of like they are getting your subscription for your services. That's why you want to provide in a more. You have to think in a more longer term, instead of just like 3 months plan or 6 month plans. You are thinking like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years plan ahead of time as well. And a go to market in 7 weeks. Right? It's amazing how, if you really think about it, like from zero to hero, it takes you 7 weeks. If you're really following the PLO, if you're really following the courses, it's gonna be how long it'll take you to go to market. Right? Knowledge and skills definitely is gonna be included here. So how does it exactly work? I've talked a lot of like conceptual stuff, but let's come to the ground, right? In terms of what is included inside. So here, first item, 35 hours of functional training. Consultancy is more like a 1-to-1 or like a 1-to-2, 1-to-3, depending on how many people from your company that you would like to allow them to join. That's going to be up to your selection, right? It's very customizable and flexible for 7 weeks. So it's not going to be like, hey, we have 7 weeks and you need to follow our schedule. It's really flexible. It's pertaining to how does your company want to do it, because sometimes your company is going to be busy with other projects, and we totally understand that. Whereas on our side, it's going to be sometimes busy as well. So we need to be flexible, and it's customizable based on your schedule, right? It's also the design to start your first project in parallel, and this is how want to keep the flow going together as well. And 1 hour daily meetings with an expert every day. So instead of just having like a bunch of 5-6 hours meeting in a week, we want to make it into more like a daily check-in, right? You're taking the course, you're learning more about it, consolidate those questions, ask our consultants how to do that as well. It's the same methodology as our business analysts, and it's very, very key to pass our certification. Okay, so I want to supplement that with the real life partner success story. So this partner in particular, I have the privilege to be able to work with them since last year. They have other ERP implementation backgrounds, right? They have dealt with other softwares before, but one thing, however, they don't have Odoo experience, and they only knew Odoo since our last year's roadshow before closing their first project. But then they also do have a team of business analysts and developers, and this is where the key comes in. But before I talk a little bit more about the partner, I want to introduce a little bit about the end customer, right? What kind of industry, what are the backgrounds, what apps are they using? And first, they're in an oil and gas company, and it's a multi-subsidiary. So we're talking more than 5 subsidiaries here, which, if you do understand, every single subsidiary is going to add the complication to the whole project. In total, we are looking at 100 plus. I believe it's 140, 150 users. They're using Odoo license as well. And there are also multiple departments involved in this. And the apps that they're using a lot of quality apps, CRM, sales, invoicing, accounting for sure, project management, and all of these are actually very core, and it's already existed in the Odoo standard ecosystem. Okay, so I want to present here what were the challenges and how did they actually overcome it. So challenges, again, they don't have the Odoo implementation knowledge. They lack of familiarity. They don't even know where to start with the scoping and to do gap analysis. Lack of time. Many partners do actually face those questions or those situations. How did we overcome it, right? So the solution for this, I want to put it in a way that is really easy to understand. It's 3 C's, right? First, from the top right corner, comprehension. That means they are learning with Odoo PLO, right? Communication, right? How they're communicating with us Odoo, and collaboration is how we are able to bring the project to fruition, right? If I to go into it, Comprehension is just going back into the point that I was making, taking PLO, right? Learning Odoo as they go, take the training. In communication here, the part where they're very transparent in terms of sharing the client's progress, the status, and the expectation. And the reason why this is really important is if you are, doing any sort of ERP project, 70% of them comes from good planning, right? The execution part is actually the more easier part. The hardest part is to gather clear expectation, gather clear status of what the client actually wants and what the client actually needs, right? And last is collaboration, right? Because they don't know how to start with the scoping. This is where our consultant can come in and say, hey, if you don't have experience, we're going to help you do it. But you would have to learn on the site, and also together we're going to bring this project to fruition. Okay, so 3 C's, again, comprehension, communication, and collaboration. Very important here. So, when I mentioned all that, ROI analysis, okay, how much money, this is the most important thing for every single person who wants to do business out there. What are the profits that this partner, or what I can get if I were to join as a partner, right? So I want to break it down into the costs and benefits here. Actually, let me just use this page here. In this particular client, this particular partner, what they did is, they do sign up as a partner because that's the most basic requirement. They actually got a partner success pack for 100 to 200 hours. So if you're wondering what this 100 hours mean, is the consultancy hour provided by Odoo. And what they did is the 3 parts here: learning about Odoo, scoping, and also doing gap analysis, right? With the benefits, what they are able to reap is 150 users per project in 5 years, and also using a hosting that gives you even more benefits and commission. And in total, they're getting 40,000 from the license, just purely commission from the license. And implementation fee one-off is taking about 60,000. Obviously, there's a lot more in terms of the maintenance and in terms of the training, but I'm just giving you the most straightforward ROI analysis for this particular partner. Okay, so it might be a question about okay, I'm not always encountering, end clients with 150 user and always getting 5 years project. That's just not realistic. And I do understand that, right? So that's why we have this average cost and benefits in Malaysia itself, right? What are some of the realistic numbers that are actually, more attainable as a partner here? First is the cost, obviously, the partnership subscription. The pack here, again, I mentioned is optional, but people do get it because it does really help them to bridge the gap between what they cannot do and what Odoo can help them with, right? In terms of 25 hours, maybe go up to a little bit 50 hours. And again, the same thing that goes on, learning about Odoo, scoping, and gap analysis. Again, not every client has 150 user, 5-6 departments, or 5 subsidiaries, right? Not every client is that scenario. With that, your partner pack hour probably is going to be a bit lower than the usual client, or the client that I was mentioned just now. And benefits, you're talking about maybe 10 to 20 users, 1 to 2 or 3 years license here, and we're talking a good revenue about 10 to 15,000 USD that the partner is able to reap, or on average, this is how much they're actually charging or getting in terms of their revenue here, right? So all in all, again, I want to mention that the partner that I mentioned, the real life cases, it's not every single project is going to come in like that, but more of the realistic, more on the ground, this is actually how it's going to look like in terms of the revenue. Okay, so I do want to keep this webinar not too long. Actually, I want it to be more of a Q&A session that to really talk about what are some of the questions, right? Because if you're here watching and you're thinking to yourself, okay, I have X, Y, and Z questions. I do not understand this. I don't understand that. How is it going to help my growth strategy here? So feel free to ask in the chat. I'm going to give up actually about 10 to 15 minutes here. Again, I mentioned I designed this webinar to be a little bit shorter because I want to have a little bit more interactive time. So I'm going to open it up to people to ask questions, which will be sent here. Okay, so I do receive some questions already. So the first question, once you are a partner, are you limited to region you start with, or the partner can be used to deploy solutions anywhere on the planet? Lovely. I love the way that you say is planet Earth here. Yes, correct. So once you're a partner, you're not limited to your region. In fact, I've had Malaysian partners actually deploying solutions in Egypt, and other places around the world too. There's no limitation on that as well, as long as you're able to find a client there. Okay. And the second question here. Hello, I've been interested since having participated twice in a row in Odoo Roadshow and at Loam, that's probably somewhere in the world. I'd like to become an Odoo distributor. Thanks. Yeah, if you are in that region, I would highly suggest you to talk with your talk with your region. Maybe you might want to let me know where that is. But yes, if you do have more questions, you can actually schedule a meeting here. You can just scan this QR code. We can talk a little bit more. If you also, if you're in a hurry that you need some, more time to have a one-on-one conversation, that's fine. You can scan this QR code and we can schedule a call as well. Right. Okay. The third question from Shafiq. Before I'm being accepted to Odoo Partner, what are the criteria I need to have? Company size, pre-sale, support team, company revenue. Yeah, so that's a very good question. What does say? Let me just bring it back here. Right. What are some of a hero profile that we're looking at here? Here. So, IT companies. The criteria, I wouldn't say there is a company size criteria. I would say the most bare bone skeletal structure that I can think of is having a business analyst, a project management, and also one developer if you can have that, right? If it's not, it's fine too. But all of these would be the bare minimum. Sales analysts, again, let me repeat that. Sales or business analysts, right? And second is having a project manager, right? And third is having a developer, because once you are becoming an Odoo partner, you actually do get access to the source code of Odoo, which allows you to do development and providing solutions to the local market, right? Okay. So for Mr. Shafiq, the same question. Any annual fee or royalty to pay from partner, or the cost is only one time that you show is now on the few slide back. So for the learning partnership and also official partnership, there is an annual fee there. But in terms of the differences in the fees there, excuse me, you can actually check our Odoo partnership page, or you can schedule a call here with me, which I can actually explain a little bit more. Today, we're not going to go in depth in terms of talking about what's the difference between them two. But to answer your question shortly, yes, there is an annual fee there that pertains into the partnership subscription. Okay, next question. What's the solution for Odoo in the future regarding the e-invoicing in Malaysia? That's a very good question here. Actually, we've already submitted the e-invoicing in Malaysia from our side. Now is waiting for approval, and we're really hoping to see some progress actually by the end of the year or early next year to be able to go into the market with Odoo. In that cases, all the partners that you have, you don't actually need to develop that on yourself. Okay. Here, Mr. Rashidi, 548, what would be the biggest revenue avenue as learning partner? I think here, when you're talking about the biggest revenue here, I would say the implementation fee, right, or the training fee as well. That is actually going to be the most helpful in terms of getting some in terms of revenue for your ROI here, right? But I mean, I can think of on top of my head, there are also other things that once you are able to just tackle one industry, I would say having that one industry as kind of like your expertise, and then once you have one client, you can actually tackle that kind of particular sector, especially if they're in the niche sector, right? Because once you're able to implement for one, you're actually taking that whole sector to your kind of I don't want to use the word control, but you're actually able to get more clients from that particular sector as well. Okay. Here, yes. Any more questions from your side? Okay. So with that, if there's no more question, I would like to kindly end this session for today. And if you have any other questions, feel free to schedule a call with me. If you're not able to do it, I can also send you the YouTube link that we can talk more. Okay. Oh, okay. There's one more question. That for Malaysia, which market industry that Odoo is really good or doing really good in Malaysia? Yeah, I think this market industry here in Malaysia, actually the most request that I've heard of is manufacturing and trading. So these two particular sectors in Malaysia is actually really booming, and actually I've received a lot of requests in terms of these two. In particular, I think Malaysia market first, manufacturing and also exporting the raw material is really one of the things that Malaysian market can do well and has been doing well for the past few years too. So I would say focusing on these two, obviously, but that's kind of like a mainstream. If you want to also go for a niche market, that's also really good as well, because Odoo, all the applications can literally fit into any business model that your client has. Okay, so I think that's the last question that we have here, and I think that's it for today. Thank you.